you talked about iTrip, and I think a lot of people would kind of be curious. You mentioned the Airbnb, the Vrbo relationship. So can you talk us through that relationship? Because I'm sure a lot of people, they're wondering, there's a lot of short-term property managers, why iTrip vacation, or why iTrip, and how does that relationship work? Am I competing with all these other, big guys out there? What does that relationship look like? And how does someone necessarily find iTrip online, or what does that look like?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's a big question. So I'll do my best to break it down. So high level, the way that it works is that, again, iTrip is not in competition with these other booking sites. So the Airbnb, Vrbo, booking.com, Expedia, TripAdvisor, all these big names, Google, they're
Yeah.
all partners of ours. So iTrip, what they've done at the corporate level has been able to go out, establish strategic partnerships with all of these different companies, and then create a platform that communicates with all these different companies as well and sends information back and forth to these different companies, so that franchisees, number one, they don't have to manage those different relationships. They don't have to manage the communication between those different platforms as well. The franchisees, they're working in one location, which is the iTrip proprietary software. And then that
Yeah.
software is able to update all of those different sites. So there's no chance for a double booking with things like that. And iTrip has done a really good job creating those strategic partnerships. We actually have the largest property advertising platform in the industry as well. So our franchisees, a huge competitive edge that they have is when they enter into a market, even with 0 properties under management, they're brand new, they can confidently approach a property owner and say that we can advertise your property on more listing sites to be able to get you more bookings than any of our competitors. So huge competitive edge. But then we also do a lot of work when it comes to direct bookings. Like you mentioned, I've never seen iTrip online to book a short-term rental property. And that's probably for good reason, because if you did find us in the mix of, the likes of Airbnb, Vrbo, Expedia, these massive publicly traded companies, we're
Yeah.
probably spending our marketing dollars wrong if we're trying to compete on the same platforms as they are. So we try to be much more strategic when it comes to our marketing, rather than trying to, compete with those companies and the advertising dollars that they're throwing out. So like we mentioned, we're doing a lot of social media, search engine marketing, remarketing as well to our guests. And we're able to achieve about a 30% direct book rate to the iTrip platform as a result of the additional marketing that we're doing for our franchisees. So again, trying to be very, very specific, very particular on how we actually do that marketing is one way, and implementing AI, back to the AI conversation, implementing AI so that we can have better conversion rates and have a lower cost per conversion when it comes to those direct bookings too. That's our strategy.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And kind of that's what I was thinking with Airbnb, Vrbo, I would say if you're not like first 3 on those Google results, you're really in the graveyard, let alone if you're on the second page, you're really in the graveyard at that point. So trying to figure out, where you get your customers, where you get your clients. And that's kind of 2 more questions as we kind of end this up. As someone, they become a franchise owner, what is this, how long is the ramp up process? Because I understand, it's a Wi-Fi business, it's an internet business, you're making Wi-Fi money, no employees, no overhead. So what does it look like to get started? And then obviously at that point, they're like, where do I make my money? Where do I find my customers?